You're listening to Popcorn in Orbit, a podcast for sci-fi lovers of all galaxies, hosted by filmmakers Jeremy Major and Ian P. Causer.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I've got Ian in the UK here, and I am Jeremy in Canada. Ian, how you doing today?
I'm good, Jay. How are you?
Good, good. Yeah, so today we are going to talk about directors. But just before we get into that, I want to point out to you where we are on the sci-fi futuristic movie timeline.
I love that. Can I guess where we are? Let's have a guess.
Yeah, do you want to guess?
Yeah. Oh, where would we be? I reckon we are roughly Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. What? I don't know. No, that's not
long
even on
time
this list.
ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So this list is actually really interesting because, if you think about like a movie like Back to the Future 2, that was 2015.
Really?
The Running Man was set in 2017. Blade Runner was set in, this, I'm sure.
2019, November 2019.
Yeah. So we've actually passed Blade Runner. Soylent Green, 2022. But right now we are right about Children of Men. 2027 was when Children of Men was set. Can you believe that?
Really? That is crazy. So weird. That's a really great sci-fi film. We've never talked about Children of Men. That's a good
Not
movie.
much, no.
Yeah.
It is a good movie. 12 Monkeys, 28. Demolition Man was 2032.
Okay.
Do you remember when Minority Report was set?
Oh, I've got 47 in my head.
You're close. 2054.
Okay.
Which is coming up.
Yeah.
It's just around the corner.
Can you remember when Blade Runner 2049 was set?
No, I have no idea.
No. Is it on the list?
It's actually not on the list. I think this list is a couple of years old, but
okay.
I won't do all of them here, but Total Recall 2084.
Okay, that still feels a way off.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just interesting to see it all sort of back to back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should be in a position where women can't get pregnant anymore. Basically.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's where we should be, right? Right. Yeah. Okay.
And all our life events happen in one shot.
Yes.
I don't know. All right. Well, so let's get on to the topic at hand. Today, we thought it would be interesting to talk about directors. Ian, do you want to explain a little more on that?
Well, we've talked about the same directors a lot in this podcast. The sci-fi greats, Spielberg, Lucas, Scott,
yes,
Nolan, Villeneuve, etc. But there are a lot of other directors we greatly admire who might not necessarily work in this genre or just haven't come up. So we wanted to talk about the directors we admire. We want to talk about, I want to sort of question you as to the importance of directing styles and signatures. And I just thought that would be a fun episode to get into. Because I imagine I'm going to learn a lot, and I imagine we're not going to agree on everything.
I have a feeling, just from some of our early conversations around this topic, could get a little heated today.
You never know. Does a good row make for a good podcast episode? If so,
we're going to find out.
Yeah,
we're going to find out. We can't hurt each other because there's several thousand kilometers between us.
That's true. That's very true.
But there's a few categories we're going to go through here. We're going to talk a bit about signature style, directors with, political positioning.
Yeah.
Or perhaps an agenda. Emotional resonance. Can you swap directors? Could you take the same movie and swap directors? And then we want to touch on a few sort of unappreciated and admired directors that we have.
Yeah. Where do you want to start?
Wherever you want.
Okay. Let's start with the point you just raised about if a certain director had done another movie. Because I know where this came from. This came from I don't know if it's a particularly hot take or different take. Might be controversial. But it strikes me that Christopher Nolan's Interstellar,
right,
emotional heft, actually comes from the fact it was originally a Spielberg project and a Spielberg script. And I just said that as an off-the-cuff comment to you, and you were like, "What?" Because that's some claim. But my
Spielberg
position
developed script, right?
Yeah.
Spielberg developed, still written by Jonathan Nolan.
I think the rewrite was Jonathan Nolan, certainly. Maybe Christopher Nolan. And this is I'm not having a dig at Nolan. I'm not having a dig at Spielberg. I've just noticed that there's more emotional heft in that particular Nolan film than any other Nolan film. And Spielberg was very much attached to this project. And Spielberg is known for his emotional heft. So yes. I've put 2 and 2 together and may well have come up with 7. But I remember when I first said this to you, you were like, what?
Yeah.
And and it started this conversation, doesn't it? What if Interstellar had been directed by Spielberg?
It's really interesting. And honestly, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love Interstellar. And I think that's pretty clear at this point for anyone who's listened before.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like, sort of perfect the way it is. You think about how much it does resonate, how, as you say, the emotional heft. Is it Spielberg that brought that to it through the early scripting process? I don't know. I think there's something to be said about the package that Christopher Nolan brings to it.
Yeah.
Because, you've got Hans Zimmer doing the music, and think about that. People might not even realize it, but we're exposed to that music all the time. Like I see it on reels online and here. It's everywhere. It's just sort of become a part of our score. Yeah, it's phenomenal. Spielberg would have brought a different package. He would have brought Williams, presumably, or somebody else. There's not too many other he's worked with.
Is it?
But it would be very different, to have a more sort of theme-based score to that movie.
Yeah.
It probably would have been a little shorter, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. Well, it would have been shot completely differently, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah.
Forgive me, I don't know how to pronounce Janusz' surname.
Janusz Kaminski.
Thank you. But that would have looked very different.
Yeah,
because he would have used Janusz, wouldn't he? Well, I think we can put the pot on for that one. So yeah, you're right. It would have been But like you said at the top, you'd like to see a Spielberg version.
I would watch it. I think it'd be interesting. I've always thought it'd be interesting to give the same script to 2 filmmakers and see what you get.
You know how I'd like to direct Interstellar? And this is a wild one, because he's never done sci-fi. Martin Scorsese. Because Martin Scorsese doesn't believe in the white picket fence sentimentality at all.
No.
That resides in it. So I think Scorsese would have done a really interesting version of Interstellar.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Well, and this goes to show you, like, there's very much this thing in Hollywood, everywhere. I can't even just say Hollywood. I see it in our own industry here, where it's like you are supposed to have your lane.
Yeah.
Right. And if a script, in quotes, isn't right for you, it goes to somebody else kind of idea. And so somewhere along the line, you're like defining what your lane is. And it's easy to almost get stuck in that. I think there's a few guys we're going to talk about today, or guys and gals, that kind of break that mold a little bit, and they don't just stay in one lane. Yeah, it was. Okay, so let's take Interstellar, for example. Was this Spielberg's lane and also Chris Nolan's lane?
I don't think Spielberg has a lane. This is a man who made Schindler's List and Hook.
And BFG.
And BFG and Jaws and Poltergeist and Minority Report. So for me, Spielberg sits above.
He can break out of the lane.
Spielberg's the greatest for me. I'm just, I'm pretty clear on that. He's the greatest filmmaker that's ever been, and probably ever will be. So he doesn't have so he could do pretty much anything he wants. All I'm saying is, I felt, because I'm not a huge fan of The Prestige, I'm not a huge fan of the Dark Knight series.
Yeah,
I like Inception. But you've said Inception can leave you a little cold. Mm-hmm. There is Dunkirk was a little cold. This is a master filmmaker. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking Christopher Nolan, but he doesn't bring sentimental emotion into his films, and he probably doesn't. And that's not because he can't, because he won't want to. If he was sat here, he'd be saying yes, and that's intentionally, which is absolutely fine.
Yeah,
but because my guy is Spielberg, and I love sentimental emotion. What I'm saying is that there is an emotional attachment in Interstellar that isn't in Nolan's other work. Ergo, is it not reasonable to suspect it was already there when Nolan got the script? Because Spielberg wrote that's, and it's just a theory. That's all.
Yeah. There's a chance. Yeah, there's a chance. So it was in the script, really, and that's why it came out.
Yeah.
it would be really interesting to see that progression. Like, what did that script look like as Spielberg worked with it? And then what did it look like? How did it change, or did it change as it got into the hands of Christopher Nolan?
From what I've learned, heard, read, it is a significantly different script.
Yeah.
So so that doesn't actually back up my theory at all. But how something makes you feel isn't on the page. Does that make sense? So it's not particularly down to the writer. It's more down to the director, the editor.
Yeah.
Because the composer of telling you how you should feel right now.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, the most emotional scene in Interstellar for me is when he pulls in on Matthew McConaughey's face as he's watching all of these video logs when he's been disappeared for so long, and he sees the birth of his grandson and the death of his grandson. And it's pulling in on Matthew McConaughey. Phenomenal actor, crying his eyes out, and everybody loves him. I love him. Maybe the emotional heft in Interstellar is simply performance driven. It's nothing to do with the writing. It's nothing to do with either director that looked at the script. It's McConaughey. It's Jessica Chastain. It's the very best of the best.
Right.
Maybe it's just performance. I don't know.
Maybe it is like by nature, the concept is a setup for like an emotional connection, because it's so much about time. It's so relatable in that we look at our own lives and we're like, wow, what if that happened to me? What if I was, stretched across time for my family and whatever else? Like, that concept is really ripe with emotion just by nature. It also, so many other things in there are, feel very kind of Christopher Nolan, in that you have character twists, and you know what I mean? You have these kind of high concept plot elements that are very Nolan.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the Matt Damon reveal.
Yeah.
A, that it's Matt Damon in there is a shock, because you don't expect to see another A-list movie star in this film so far in. And B, the reveal that he's not a Matt Damon typical character. I don't want to give it away for people who haven't seen Interstellar, but that to me is almost a Nolan-esque, kind of twist that you just don't see coming.
Yeah. That leads us into, I think, a topic here on signature style. And I know you have some opinions on this.
Well, yeah, I do. Because I mentioned a director, and will remain nameless, to you in recent weeks. And you went, oh, I'm not a big fan. They just don't have a signature style. And I thought, well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Is that not a good thing? And that kind of precipitated this kind of argument, didn't it? Now, I've probably rode back a little bit on what I've said to you in private. And I'll tell you, I'm not frightened to say, I've said to you in private, the signature style of every director is the film should be good. That's it.
What does that mean?
I'm going to row back from that a little bit, because, and what I've come to realize is, if I like the signature, then I'm cool with it. Example, Michael Mann.
Okay.
I love the way Michael Mann lights a scene and shoots a scene. So I love that. So the signature doesn't bother me. If I find the signature isn't something that I like, though, I'd rather there was no signature. Just tell the story.
Okay.
It's distracting.
Right. Okay. All right. There are some directors who have a very pronounced signature style. The people like Tarantino, Aaron Sorkin, right?
Yeah, Aaron Sorkin,
it's like, exactly who directed that movie or wrote that movie. And if you don't like that style, it doesn't matter what the story is, you're probably not going to go, because it's just going to irritate you. Let's take Spielberg, for example. He does have a lot of things that he does, even beyond sort of cinematography, although that's part of it. There's like, as you say, there's a way he handles emotion. There's, this sort of idea of childhood imagination. You know what I mean? There's like but he even has kind of slapsticky elements, or he'll do little multiple conversations in a scene happening at the same time, right? There are a lot of little elements that he brings, even the way he does move the camera, that he uses no matter what genre he's in. You'll see these things in Hook. You'll see them in Jaws. Like they're in everything, despite the genre. And I think, to me, that's really important. Like, that's part of the reason I go. I think part of the reason I actually don't watch a lot of movies on Netflix, for example, is because there's a bit of a generic quality to them. And my understanding is that's quite intentional, right?
Yes.
It doesn't mean there aren't good movies there, but they're just a little different. And I am very much interested in the kind of, I guess you'd say, auteur-driven approach where there's a bit of a flair, there's a bit of a flavor that's unique to that person.
Yeah.
And I think maybe some of the Christopher Nolan films I don't like as much are the ones where they don't have the twists and the turns and the kind of, whatever it is, sort of fantastical element.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I do. I never, to be honest, I never thought of the things that you just stated for Spielberg as signatures.
Yeah.
I just put it as his technique, his filmmaking techniques.
Yeah.
I think of a signature like a J.J. Abrams lens flare.
Yeah.
Or a Paul Greengrass camera shaking as their...
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think of as a signature. Or Michael Mann's blues, the way he lights scenes in blue. Or, Tarantino's got Tarantino's an ultimate auteur, isn't he? You're never in any doubt you're watching a Tarantino movie.
Oh, yeah, totally.
As soon as you're in it.
Yeah.
So I think of them more as like those like lens flare type things where you're like, do we need that? Do we need that to show that it's your film?
It's a valid question.
And it feels a little like you're breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
As the director, if that's even possible. You're like leaning around the camera and going, hey, it's me. In the middle of the story.
Yeah. It's funny.
Putting your face in frame almost.
Yeah. Like with JJ, I saw some behind the scenes stuff recently. And maybe it was on Star Wars or something, but I think it was Star Trek, where he's literally standing there shaking his camera until he's exhausted. And then there's one other guy he trusts who comes in and keeps shaking the like he's holding on to the film magazine on the camera, just shaking it. Like the guys at Panavision must be like, dude, you're like killing that camera.
Yeah. If I was the actor watching that and he's directing me, I'd be thinking, is it broken? Are we rolling, really? I assumed it was broken and you're just giving it a whack, and a bit of a shake.
So when you talk about the filmmaker like leaning around the camera, he almost literally is popping his head in and going, this is me.
This is me. Whereas there are other filmmakers, and just correct me if I'm wrong on this, who don't seem to have a signature.
Yes.
And I admire them for it because they're purely storytellers. So James Mangold, I don't think has a signature. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that. It's a little more generic. Like he pulls off a great movie.
He makes great movies and he tells a great story.
Yeah. I don't know it's James Mangold until the final credit rolls.
Yeah. But to me, that speaks to a lack of ego.
Okay, interesting.
I'm telling a story. You watch Walk the Line, this is multi-Oscar winning and nominated movie. This is top quality filmmaking.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's just producing middle of the road fare.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no signature there that I can see other than they're really good films and good stories. And I like that. Ron Howard would be another one. Ron Howard's doesn't seem to have a signature style.
No, he doesn't really
make Apollo 13 and feel like it's a Spielberg film. He makes Parenthood and it makes it feel like a cross between Spielberg and John Hughes.
Yeah.
He makes Backdraft and you're watching again something that could have been like it's just a really good filmmaking, I'm not articulating it great, but there's
I would love for there to be something a little more defined. I mean, those are guys that have done really, really well, so I can't really criticize it. I think they're the guys you call on, particularly someone like James Mangold, when you've got you want a nice safe choice who's going to deliver a great product.
Yeah.
And your audience isn't there because of the director. They're there for so many other reasons.
So Mangold comes in because Spielberg's not going to direct Indiana Jones 5.
Right.
So they're like, who the heck is going to follow Steven Spielberg with the Indiana Jones franchise?
Yeah.
We go and get James Mangold. I think that's a massive compliment to Mangold.
I know. And he did a good job. I liked it.
Yeah, he did. It's great.
Yeah.
And then And Ron Howard's very similar. Solo, a Star Wars story, is infamous for how bad it was. Its budget ran to $350 million, and they're in deep trouble. So who do they call to come in and reshoot the thing? Ron Howard. Now, whatever you may think of Solo, and Star Wars fans probably put it to the bottom of the list of Star Wars films.
Yeah, it took a beating.
It took a beating. It's not as bad as the beating it took, A.
No.
And B, I think Ron Howard turned something unwatchable into something that's perfectly good.
Mm-hmm.
And that, on a Star Wars film, that's like trying to turn around a freight train. It's trying to stop an oil tanker, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's a compliment to those guys that they're the ones that get called in to follow, to take over a Star Wars film that's failing, to follow Spielberg.
Yeah.
It's scary. I wouldn't want to be in that position personally.
No, that's a really tough job. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Ron Howard's a perfect example of somebody who's kind of all over the map, you know, does a good job everywhere, I guess. Like you think about How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yeah.
We're watching that every year here, but he also did, Solo.
And he does them all well.
Yeah.
So why isn't their signature the fact that they've just produced quality?
That might be their signature. I mean, they're working. They're working.
Yeah.
But there's no visual indication that it's the same person.
Yeah. So what I'm asking you basically is, you want a signature style.
Yeah.
So if James Mangold just threw something into every film he made, which nod and wink to say, hey, it's Jim Mangold here.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that elevates him as a director, and I just don't think I don't agree with that. I like the fact that Jim Mangold's like, I don't need, my ego doesn't require me to...
So you think it's an ego thing, eh?
What else would it be?
Well, I think it just kind of happens. Like, I think as let's say an artist, you practice your craft long enough that certain trends come out of your work, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I see it even with myself. There are certain shots I do that on everything I do. They're like, there's kind of a similar look to it. Now I'm going to adapt. If I'm doing something for a corporate client, I'm not going to do my low angle dolly shot.
Yeah.
I'm going to give them a nice, safe, you know, at least my approach when I'm taking a script, I'm going through it and you're just trying to feel it, right? You're just trying to like, what's the feeling through this thing? You're not even that sort of conscious about it. You're just thinking about the shots that are going to capture a feeling that's going to, enhance this story. And so I think because it's almost an unconscious approach, this natural thing develops. And there's certain tendencies.
I'd call that technique. Yeah, I'd call that technique.
Yeah, technique, I suppose.
Rather than signature.
Well, I guess those techniques become your signature in a way.
Okay.
But
what about cameos? What about director cameos? Is it fair to... So Hitchcock, Knight, Tarantino have to appear in front of the camera at some point.
Yeah.
Is that ego? Because that can't be technique. That can't be driven by... Because I'm sure nobody will mind me saying, not the three greatest actors you'll ever see.
I know.
So it's not like the film's going to miss out if we don't see you.
Not necessarily Hitchcock, but maybe. Some of those guys...
He's the biggest ego of the lot.
Yeah, his might have been more ego.
Yeah.
But I think some of these guys wanted to be actors or love the idea of acting.
Yeah.
And so do kind of want that little moment.
Yeah.
But is it ego? Maybe. I'm not sure. It's an interesting question. It's an interesting question.
It's just for me, I anything that takes away from the story that's being told needs to be tossed overboard. That should be our focus. So everybody on the set, whether it's an indie film with 8 of us on a set or it's a blockbuster with 250 people on set, it's all about telling this story the best way possible. And anything else should really be tossed overside. Coming from the actor, I can tell you, no group of people have a bigger egos than the actors. And that's why we go, can we have an extra line? Or I actually think I should say this. Or because you're looking for your star turn, your star monologue, something that's going to pop. And that's what we've got to do as actors is damp that down and go, no, what's right for the story? That's what we should do. You know.
Well, and I guess hopefully a particular director is working with a particular script because they feel that what they specifically are going to bring to it is going to best tell the story.
Yeah. But it's the same with writers as well. You know, we all have that. It's just, I think, because the director's in control.
Yeah.
They can get away with it more. Yeah. I guess. You know, Aaron Sorkin's writing is his signature. Just his dialogue.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love The West Wing, the first 4 seasons he was in charge before he went away. And I love some of his films. But there's a point where if the coffee barista is talking at 100 miles an hour and has an IQ of 250 points, as well as everybody else in the film, it starts to feel like a play, I guess.
Yes.
And he started as a playwright. A Few Good Men was his play, and it was then turned into the movie. And it's a great stage play if you think about A Few Good Men. It's perfect for a stage play.
Yeah.
But it's very clear that every character in it is super spast, super smart, and talks at 1 million miles an hour.
Yeah.
Which can be jarring and take you out the story, is all I'm saying, on occasion.
Yeah, the writer, that signature of the writer was, I feel like, much more prominent in, say, the 90s. Like you're talking about Aaron Sorkin, Few Good Men, for example, David Mamet, Tarantino, right? People were really into that, like fast-paced dialogue.
Yeah.
It's kind of over-talking everything. I remember coming out of college, and the buddy I was working with on some film projects, he was totally into that style. So everything we were doing was overspoken and in that flavor, right? But we couldn't pull it off like he could. It was
and I'm probably too far the other way.
Yeah, you are very succinct, efficient,
as little dialogue as possible.
Yeah, but it makes it really compelling.
Well, I grew up with John Ford westerns, and reading everything I could about John Ford. Because when Spielberg says John Ford's the master filmmaker, and you feel about Spielberg like I do, and you want to make movies, you then go and research John Ford. Like, this is Spielberg saying he's the master. I better go. And I'm reading about Ford on location, because Ford's primarily famous for his westerns, even though he made brilliant films in all genres. On location, 600 miles from electricity, and he's ripping out pages of dialogue from the script.
Wow.
And just saying his actor, whether it's John Wayne, James Stewart, Henry Fonda, no, just do this look. We don't need all this dialogue. And he's ripping the page. And the films that create from that are all-time greats, Sure. So to me, from a very early age, I'm being pre-programmed even before I know I want to be a screenwriter. I always wanted to be an actor, but I didn't know I wanted to write until I was quite a bit older. Mm-hmm. But I'm being pre-programmed that, when you write, make sure dialogue is as sparse as possible, because this is a visual medium. It's not a radio play. It's not a theatre play. It's a visual, it's a film. So, and I think Michael Mann does it. Would you agree with that? I feel like Michael Mann does limited dialogue, and it makes it brilliant. Yeah,
totally. When it's there, it's really powerful and important. That's a tough line to walk, where you need just enough so people understand the story, what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to scale back the dialogue to just that and nothing more. And sometimes you can't see that line until you shoot it, and you get in editing, and you're like, we really don't need that line anymore.
Yeah. Well, it happened to us, didn't it? So when I was in Ontario in March, we were shooting a sizzle reel for a project that we're developing.
Yeah.
Because of the fast nature of the turnaround of me coming to Ontario, there's no real time to plan, was there? And my process with writing a script is I'll write a script and it usually sits about 125 pages after first draft.
Yeah.
And on second draft, that drops to 115. Third draft drops to 100. And then I'm sending you a fourth draft of 90 pages. And all of that's cut is dialogue. So I've written on the first draft to make sure that all the characters, they know what they're doing, and for me to get the story down. And then as you go through and you rewrite, you take out all the unnecessary dialogue, and it chops 35 pages off a script.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Fast, jump cut to, I'm coming to Ontario on 3 weeks' notice. We'll shoot the sizzle. So I'm writing the sizzle, because rather than cutting it out for the script that we're developing, I'll just write the sizzle. Yeah. And it was 15 pages, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm cutting on the shoot.
Yeah, on the day.
On the day, because I'm like, I haven't had a chance to do that. All this dialogue needs to go.
Yeah.
So I'm frantically kind of cutting and scraping, and I think in the process of shooting that thing, I cut that from 15 to 7 pages.
Yeah.
It's cut it in half, effectively. But I remember telling you, it's so frustrating because it's not written properly for you as the director, Jay. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to run into the coffee room and to rip all this stuff out, and invariably it's better with the less dialogue.
And then it came down even more in the edit.
In the edit,
yeah.
You just cut. Yeah. Can you imagine Tarantino's first draft of a script?
It's probably exactly the same as the last draft.
It could be like now I'm picturing like 900 pages.
I know. Yeah.
Or Sorkin's dialogue in the first draft. Oh my gosh. If he does the same way as I do.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, got to cut this 800 pages down to 150.
All right. And on that note, Ian, we are going to pause the conversation.
Yeah, there's too much more to say and the clock is ticking. So we're going to come back for a second episode on this.
Just so much more goodness to this conversation, but you will have to wait until next time.
Thanks so much for listening.
In the meantime, check us out on Instagram and YouTube.
Take care.
Popcorn in Orbit is produced by The Shooting Eye and Ice River Pictures.